It hurts, doesn't it? To know he desires you, feels you, dreams of you, and yet he stays with someone else. You wonder how he can crave your soul but choose another body, how he can look into your spirit but still hide in a connection that isn't real. But here's the truth. He doesn't stay because he doesn't love you. He stays because being with you demands everything: his walls, his fears, his pride. And until he's ready to surrender, he'll cling to the illusion of safety. But the desire he has for you will never die. And it's only a matter of time before his soul pulls him back to where he belongs. One of the deepest wounds in the twin flame journey is this paradox. He desires you, he feels you, he knows you, yet he is not with you. The feminine can sense it in every fiber of her being. His energy leans toward her. His soul calls for her. His desire is undeniable. And yet, in the physical world, he stays somewhere else, with someone else. This is where the pain cuts the deepest. Because desire without presence feels like rejection. It feels like betrayal. It feels like he is making a conscious choice to live a lie while your heart burns with truth. And in those moments, the feminine questions everything. If he desires me, why isn't he here? If he feels this connection, why does he act like it doesn't matter? How can he choose comfort over love? But here's the sacred truth. His absence does not mean lack of desire. His distance does not mean lack of love. His choice to remain where he is reflects his fear, not his truth. The masculine desires you in ways he cannot put into words. He feels it in his body, in his spirit, in his dreams. The craving for you is unlike anything he has ever experienced, and that is precisely why it terrifies him. Because desire with you is not just physical. It's not just attraction, it's recognition. When he is close to you, his soul is exposed, his walls collapse, his pride has no power. He cannot pretend with you, and that kind of intimacy is something he has never been able to handle fully. So while he desires you more than anyone else, he runs to where desire is safer. With someone else, he can control the narrative. With someone else, he doesn't have to reveal the depths of his soul. With someone else, he can stay half awake, living in an illusion that feels easier. But even as he chooses safety, his soul aches for you, because only with you does he feel alive. The feminine feels this contradiction. She feels him pulling toward her energetically, even while he is absent physically. She feels the longing in his silence, the truth in his avoidance, the ache in his denial. And that knowing creates a wound because she sees beyond his choices into his soul. She knows what he feels even when his actions say otherwise. This pain of desire without presence is not punishment, it is preparation. It forces the feminine into her own strength, her own wholeness, her own alignment. It teaches her that she cannot depend on his actions to validate what her soul already knows. It invites her to trust the bond, even when his physical presence is missing. And for the masculine, this stage is equally tormenting. He may appear comfortable, but inside he is restless. He craves you in ways he cannot suppress. He feels the fire every time he thinks of you. He dreams of you with such intensity that waking up feels like a loss. He may try to drown it out, but the truth of his desire leaks through. No matter how hard he tries to pretend, he cannot escape the pull. Haven't you noticed it? The way his energy brushes against yours in moments of quiet. The way you feel his longing in dreams or sudden waves of emotion. That's because desire cannot be hidden. Even if he resists you physically, his soul cannot resist you energetically. The pain of desire without presence is real. It breaks the feminine's heart. It tests her patience. It stretches her faith. But it also reveals something deeper, that no matter where he is, no matter who he is with, his soul cannot forget you. Desire is not a choice, it is truth. And truth always leads him back. Why he chooses someone else for safety? It seems impossible, doesn't it? How can he desire you so deeply, dream of you every night, feel the pull of your soul in every breath, and still choose to stay with someone else? To the divine feminine, this contradiction feels like betrayal. But in truth, it is not about love. It is about safety. The masculine has spent most of his life building wall around his heart. These walls are made of pride, fear, and survival. He was taught that vulnerability is dangerous, that intimacy exposes him, that surrender equals loss of control. And then you arrive, his twin flame, and suddenly every one of those walls begins to collapse. With you, there is no hiding. With you, his soul is stripped bare. With you, he feels completely seen. And for a man who has built his life around not being seen too deeply, this is terrifying. So he chooses the illusion of safety. Someone else may provide companionship, even intimacy, but it is shallow enough that he doesn't have to face himself. With someone else, he can still wear the mask. He can still hide behind a role, a routine, or a story. He doesn't have to dismantle his ego. He doesn't have to break open his heart. That relationship, no matter how empty, feels safer because it doesn't demand the death of his false self. You see, the feminine awakens his soul, but another person allows him to stay asleep. And in the early stages of the journey, sleep feels easier than awakening. Haven't you noticed this dynamic? He may look comfortable with someone else, but that comfort has no fire, no depth, no true resonance. It is surface level safety, not soul level truth. With you, the desire is raw, consuming, and undeniable. With them, the desire is muted, controllable, easy to dismiss. And for a man terrified of losing control, that is why he stays. This choice is not a reflection of how much he desires you. It's a reflection of how much he fears you. Because being with you means surrendering everything he has clung to. It means stepping out of the illusion of safety and into the fire of transformation. It means letting his walls crumble, his pride dissolve, and his heart lid. And for the masculine who has spent lifetimes resisting vulnerability, this is the scariest choice of all. The irony is this: what feels safe to him is actually what keeps him empty. Those other connections may provide temporary comfort, but they cannot nourish his soul. He may convince himself that it's enough, but deep down he knows it isn't. That is why no matter how many times he chooses someone else, the longing for you never disappears. Because safety without truth is not love. It is survival. For the feminine, this stage is excruciating. She feels his desire, but she also sees his choice. And she wonders, how can he want me and not choose me? How can he stay where he isn't alive? But the answer is simple. He is not yet ready to surrender. He is not yet ready to step out of illusion. He is not yet ready to let go of safety for love. And yet, even as he stays with someone else, his soul is restless. His energy betrays him. His desire leaks through in dreams, signs, and synchronicities. The feminine feels it all, because the truth cannot be hidden, no matter how much he tries. Choosing someone else is not rejection. It is delay. It is avoidance. It is fear disguised as safety. But it cannot last, because eventually the comfort will collapse and the emptiness will force him to face what he has been avoiding, that his soul already chose you. He chooses someone else for safety, but safety is not home. And sooner or later, he will realize that safety without you is nothing but a cage. It can feel unbearable to watch him remain in another connection while you know without question that his soul belongs with you. To the divine feminine, it often feels like rejection. But the truth is far more complex and far more sacred. These connections he chooses before reunion are not accidents. They are karmic mirrors. A karmic mirror is not about love. It is about lessons. These relationships are designed to expose what still needs to be healed, both for him and at times for you. They reflect his wounds, his patterns, his shadows. They show him exactly where he still hides, where he still runs, where he still refuses to step into truth. And until those lessons are faced, union cannot anchor. Think about it. With you, the energy is so raw, so consuming, so divine that he cannot deny it. It overwhelms him. It strips him of every mask. That kind of intensity is impossible to ignore, but it is also impossible to manage until he is ready. So his soul draws him into karmic connections where the stakes feel safer. He is allowed to rehearse lessons without fully confronting his destiny. These karmic mirrors often look like comfort. They may provide companionship, routine, even a sense of normalcy. But underneath, they are empty. Why? Because their purpose was never to fulfill him, only to reveal him. These relationships highlight what he still needs to release. They expose the lies he tells himself. They show him the cost of choosing safety over truth. And here is the paradox. Though he may think he is choosing someone else, the truth is that he is choosing you through the lessons. Every disappointment, every emptiness, every false comfort he experiences with another person pushes him closer to recognizing what he cannot escape, that only you hold the fire of his soul. For the feminine, this stage is painful because she feels the connection so deeply and wonders why he cannot simply see it. But the karmic mirror serves a purpose for her too. It teaches her to release attachment, to trust the timing of the soul, to understand that his choices are not about her worth. They are about his readiness. And while he learns his lessons, she deepens into her own. Have you noticed the cycles? The way he seems to circle back to you, no matter where he goes. The way his energy never leaves, even when his body is elsewhere. That is the karmic mirror at work. It exhausts every illusion until he can no longer pretend. It shows him what love is not, so he can finally surrender to what love is. The karmic mirror is not punishment. It is preparation. It ensures that when he finally stands before you, he does so with clarity. He will know the difference between illusion and truth, between survival and union, between comfort and destiny. So when you see him with someone else, remember, it is not the end of your story. It is a chapter in his awakening. That connection will run its course, and when it collapses, he will emerge stripped of illusions, ready to step into what was always meant to be. Because no karmic bond can replace a soul bond, and every karmic mirror only pushes him closer to reunion. One of the greatest confusions in the twin flame journey is the difference between what the masculine desires in his soul and what he chooses for comfort. To the feminine, it feels obvious. His soul craves her. She feels his energy pull. She senses his longing. She dreams his truth. And yet, in the physical, he often chooses someone else. Why? Because there is a vast difference between soul desire and comfort desire. Soul desire is raw. It is fire. It consumes. When he is around you, he feels like he cannot breathe without you. And at the same time, he feels terrified that he will lose himself in you. Your presence strips away his illusions. Your eyes see through every mask. Your touch awakens memories he didn't know existed. This is desire that is not only physical but spiritual. It demands transformation. It requires surrender. It calls him into his highest self. And that is overwhelming when he is not ready. Comfort desire, on the other hand, is shallow. It doesn't demand anything of him. It is predictable. It is safe. With someone else, he may feel attraction. He may feel companionship. He may even feel affection. But none of it shakes him to his core. None of it demands that he confront his fears, his wounds, or his soul. This type of desire feels easier, manageable, within his control. And so, when faced with the choice between soul desire and comfort desire, the masculine in earlier stages often chooses comfort. Not because he doesn't crave you, he does, with an intensity that haunts him daily. But because craving you means losing the identity he has built. It means letting go of his pride, his safety nets, his illusions. And until he is ready for that collapse, he hides where desire feels easier. But here is the paradox. Comfort desire cannot sustain him. No matter how much he tries to convince himself that he can live with it, it leaves him restless. The feminine lives in his dreams. Her energy brushes against his chest when he's lying awake at night. The fire of soul desire never dies down. It only grows louder until comfort feels like emptiness. Haven't you felt this difference? You can sense it in his energy. When he is with someone else, it feels muted, disconnected, shallow. But when his soul leans into you, the intensity is undeniable. You feel him pulling, burning, reaching even if he doesn't move physically. That's the power of soul desire. It cannot be hidden and it cannot be replaced. For the feminine, understanding this distinction is liberating because it shows her that his choices do not reflect his truth. They reflect his fear. Comfort desire is not love, it is avoidance. And soul desire, no matter how he tries to resist it, always wins in the end. This is why the journey takes time. His ego clings to what feels safe, but his soul aches for what feels real. And eventually, the soul wins. The hunger for truth becomes stronger than the fear of surrender. The ache for authenticity outweighs the illusion of safety. And when that tipping point comes, the masculine can no longer pretend. Soul desire breaks him open. Comfort desire lulls him asleep. But only one of them is eternal. No matter how long he hides in comfort, his soul has already chosen you. And that choice cannot be undone. This is one of the hardest truths for the divine feminine to accept. When your masculine stays with someone else, when he avoids you, when he acts as if you don't matter, it is not because he doesn't love you. It is because he is afraid of how much he does. Fear, not indifference, drives his actions. And this fear shows up in many forms. He fears losing control. With you, there is no pretending, no performance. Your presence pulls his soul into the light, stripping away every mask. That intensity terrifies him because it means surrendering to something bigger than himself. He fears unworthiness. Deep inside, the masculine often carries wounds that whisper, "You're not enough. You'll fail her. You don't deserve this love." So he chooses someone else, not because they are better, but because they are easier. They don't demand transformation. They don't trigger his deepest insecurities. With them, he can feel enough. With you, he feels exposed. He fears the death of his old self. Being with you requires him to let go of the identity he has carefully built, the provider, the protector, the strong one who never cracks. You don't allow his mask, you demand his truth. And that kind of rebirth feels like death to his ego. So he acts out of fear. He runs. He stays silent. He chooses safety. He hides in other connections. To the feminine, it looks like rejection. To him, it feels like survival. But here is the paradox. Every fearful action still points back to love. Why? because he wouldn't fear losing you if he didn't already know how much you matter. He wouldn't hide from you if he didn't feel how exposed he is in your presence. He wouldn't choose someone else for safety if he didn't recognize that with you, the stakes are everything. Have you noticed the way his energy betrays his actions? He may stay distant, but you still feel him. He may say nothing, but you dream of him almost every night. He may act indifferent, but signs, synchronicities, and sudden waves of his longing pour into your field. That's because his soul cannot match his fear-driven choices. His actions may reflect resistance, but his energy reflects truth. For the feminine, this realization is both painful and freeing. Painful because it forces her to sit with the reality that love is not enough to override fear immediately. Freeing because it confirms that she was never wrong about the connection. His actions may confuse, but his soul never lies. And eventually, the fear collapses, because fear cannot sustain itself forever. It drains him, exhausts him, and leaves him restless. Sooner or later, he realizes that living in fear is emptier than risking everything for love. His actions in this stage are not a rejection of you. They are a reflection of the battle within him, between his fear of love and his longing for it. And in the end, love always wins. So, when you see him hiding, when you see him staying with someone else, remember, it is not because he doesn't love you. It is because he loves you so much that it terrifies him. Fear drives his actions. Love drives his soul. And the soul always has the final word. What the feminine must understand here, for the divine feminine, few things feel more painful than watching her masculine stay with someone else while desiring her at the same time. It stirs every wound of rejection, abandonment, and self-doubt. She may ask herself, am I not enough? Why would he choose another over me if he feels what I feel? What more could I possibly give? But here is the sacred truth. It is not about you. His choices do not measure your worth. They only reflect his fear, his wounds, and his readiness. The feminine must understand that her role is not to chase, not to compete, and not to prove herself. Her role is to embody the truth of who she is, the mirror of his soul. She cannot lower herself to match the illusion he chooses. She must remain rooted in the knowing that no one can replace her, because no one carries the same resonance. When the masculine stays with someone else, it is not because that person has something you don't. It is because that relationship allows him to hide. It lets him stay half awake. It does not demand transformation. You, on the other hand, demand everything. His vulnerability, his surrender, his truth. And until he is ready to rise into that, he will cling to what feels easier. But the feminine's power lies in not collapsing when he does this. Her power is in holding her energy steady, in remembering that she is not waiting to be chosen, because she was already chosen by his soul long before his actions caught up. Have you felt this shift? That deep knowing inside you that no matter who he is with, the connection between you is untouched. That is your strength. That is your anchor. And that is what carries you through this stage without losing yourself. The feminine must also understand that her healing matters here, because his karmic lessons mirror her own. If she falls into desperation, comparison, or jealousy, she vibrates in the same fear he does. But when she chooses trust, alignment, and self-worth, she anchors the union in truth. She becomes the lighthouse that guides him back when his illusions collapse. This stage is not about enduring endless pain. It is about deepening into your power. It is about realizing that your value is not diminished by his fear-driven choices. You are not competing with another woman. You are not waiting in line for his recognition. You are already the mirror his soul cannot forget. And here's the paradox. The more you embody this truth, the more his soul feels it. Your steadiness unsettles his illusions. Your refusal to collapse under the weight of his fear forces him to see that the connection is unshakable, and eventually that truth breaks him open. So what must the feminine understand here? That she is not losing him to someone else. She is witnessing his delay in facing himself. That she does not need to fight for her place, because her place was written long before this lifetime. That his choices say nothing about her value and everything about his fear. This stage is not rejection, it is preparation. And the feminine's role is not to chase, but to trust. Not to diminish herself, but to rise. Not to question her worth, but to anchor it so deeply that no illusion can shake it. Because when she holds steady, she becomes the mirror strong enough to pull him out of his hiding. There is a truth about the twin flame journey that no fear, no delay, no karmic tie can erase. What is written in the soul cannot be undone. The divine masculine may run, he may hide, he may stay with someone else for a season, but he cannot escape what was destined before either of you were born. Every choice he makes outside of you is only a detour, never a destination. Those other connections may look like commitments, but they are only temporary shelters built on sand. His soul knows this. That is why, even when he tries to convince himself otherwise, the longing for you never dies. The desire resurfaces in his silence. The truth echoes in his dreams. The bond calls to him in ways he cannot block out. In the end, the soul always wins. For the masculine, this realization comes slowly and painfully. At first, he thinks he can live without you, that someone else will be enough. But emptiness follows him, no matter what he builds with another. It never carries the fire of union. He may try to numb it, but the ache remains. He may try to bury it, but it grows louder, until finally he can no longer pretend. He sees that you are not just someone he loves. You are the mirror of his being, the anchor of his soul, the home he has been searching for in every empty place. For the feminine, this truth must also become her anchor. She cannot let his delays make her question her worth. She cannot let his choices convince her that she is not enough. She must hold steady in the knowing that his actions are temporary, but the bond is eternal. Because when she does, she becomes the pillar that grounds the union, the energy he cannot resist when his illusions fall apart. Haven't you noticed it? No matter how far he runs, he circles back. No matter how many times he hides, his energy always returns. No matter who he is with, his soul is never settled. That is because reunion is not optional, it is written. This is the final message. He cannot escape what is written. The karmic ties will end. The illusions will collapse. The fear will lose its grip. And when it does, he will stand before you, not because you forced him, not because you chased him, but because his soul always knew it was always you. Union is not a question of if. It never was. It is only a question of when, and the when is already in motion. So when you see him with someone else, don't despair. See it for what it is, a detour on the way home, a temporary stop before destiny, because destiny cannot be rewritten. The divine masculine may resist, but resistance always breaks. He may delay, but delay is never denial. He may hide, but love always finds him. Because the truth of this journey is simple, eternal, unshakable. He cannot escape you. He cannot escape himself. He cannot escape what is written in both your souls.